Hello and welcome to the virtual Montreal Spring 22 Book Fair. This is my Penguin Children's highlight. I have four presentations. I'm not sure what order you're watching them in. However, if you want an overview of our promos that are available, that's at the very beginning of my Knot Doubleday adult list. I'd also like to remind you that if you are looking for an overview of must-have for the holiday titles, please check out a presentation that we did several weeks ago. I think you received the link. All of our colleagues, coast to coast from the Indie team, went over what you should have in stock. It's really the best overview available. All right, with that quickly said, we are going to jump right into spring 2022. I'm just going to make myself a bit smaller and put me out of the way so you can see all of the beautiful children's books covers. I'd also like to remind you that you have Book Manager and Catalyst catalogs. I do not have interiors in this presentation, but your catalogs are in presentation order. You can follow along with me and you should be able to see spreads there. We're going to start with board books. So our very first board book is from Roald Dahl, and this is illustrated by Quentin Blake. It's colors. And then equally charming, we have Opposites, also illustrated by Quentin Blake. Then continuing on with our basic concepts, we have Llama Llama showing us the ABCs. And now we have Bunny Roo and Duckling 2. Bunny Roo was actually a book that was previously in picture book format. Now we're doing board. They are just adorable. I love these illustrations so much. It's a great baby shower book, and it has that old-fashioned classic look and feel. It is also excellent for if you're doing an Easter table or something seasonal for spring. Pop this one out there. It can be used for the holiday without being exclusively holiday. All right, continuing on with that classic look and feel, we have the Very Hungry Caterpillar Eating Lunch. This is lovely and bored, and also all those little caterpillar holes where he has munched through the food are die cuts in the books. And this is going to take you through colors. Our previous book in the series where he ate breakfast was counting. So keep your eyes out for dinner and snack time. Moving on to our picture books. The first one, this is so fun. It explains basically the Big Bang as though the Big Bang was something you could make in your kitchen. It's a really tough concept, but they do an excellent job of conceptualizing it for young readers. This is a debut author, but Ryan Biggs is a veteran illustrator. You're in good hands. And it's very fun. Space is a beloved children's book topic, and this is a really fresh take on a familiar subject. Then we have Good Job, George. You might recognize the name Jane O'Connor. She is the woman responsible for Fancy Nancy. And she has been asked for years to do a picture book character that is a little boy, and it never felt right to her until her first grandchild came along and he was a boy, and she said, all right, I feel inspired to do it this time. Now, George is a kid that you're probably familiar with. He loves helping all the time, but as anyone who's had a toddler be their sous chef before know, he doesn't always quite get it right, but you know what? He's doing his best. He's doing a good job anyway. It's very fun and messy, and our illustrator, Andrew Joyner, did the Pink Hat merch and the Horse Museum as well. He's a great illustrator. Sloth Sleeps Over. This is such a sweet bedtime read. And Sloth assumes that a sleepover is going to be for sleeping, but he is sadly mistaken. Of course, his friend that he's visiting wants him to stay up all night and do all the traditional fun sleepover games. It's very, very cute. And it's hard to miss with a sloth in a picture book. Everything Will Be Okay. These are names that you definitely recognize. So we have the author of the Llama Llama series, who sadly didn't get to illustrate this one, but Judy Schaffner is the illustrator for the super popular Skippy John Jones series, and she's done a wonderful job here. It's just a warm, sweet story about friends who are having a tough day, and everything's going to be okay in the end. There's really nice rhyming text throughout and silly, fun, whimsical art. And the message is to stay positive, which is comforting and something that I know we've all been striving to do these past few years. Cats Can. I love the illustrations in this one. It's another really fun read. So this is following a bunch of cats and what they are like and are able to do. And wouldn't you know it, that a lot of the things that cats like and do, like for example, when they're stubborn or contrary, kids are like that too. It's rhyming that's a love letter to the behavior of cats and the really playful nature of kids as well. Catnip for cat lovers. Princess Charming. This is a very cute story about Prince Charming has a younger sister who she really would like to be the person who saves the day every once in a while. And in this story, she finally gets a chance to rush in and save the day like her big brother. Okay, Jacqueline Woodson with illustrations by Rafael Lopez. I'm so excited for this one, The Year We Learned to Fly. I know all of you will remember the picture book, The Day You Began, or Begin, sorry. And this is the same team, same gorgeous illustration, another really strong message. It's about imagination in one sense. There are kids who are bored and their grandmother encourages them to use their imagination and tells the story of the people who could fly, which is a story that is important to the Black community. And it's a wonderful blend of folktale and imagination and the power of your mind and what you can do. So I'm going to try to flag as many of these as I can as we go throughout, but we are offering a really amazing Black History Month promo, which is going to start in November to get all your stock in for February. We have hundreds of titles on this list, lots of front lists, and The Year We Learned to Fly will be on it. You'll be getting an email from us soon. Daddy Speaks Love. This is truly wonderful, something that you absolutely want to have on your tables for Father's Day, that's for sure. We have these wonderful photorealistic watercolor paintings, and basically it's a tribute to dads, the many things that dads do at various stages in kids' lives. And there's a lot of joy in the book, but also we learn about lessons that come from making mistakes. We see all sorts of dads. We see divorced dads, we see dads still with moms, we see dads with other dads, with all sorts of different kids as well. There's a rock concert in my bedroom. You probably recognize the name Kevin Jonas. He and his wife Danielle Jonas. This is their picture book debut. It's a really fun picture book about the importance of music in their family and jamming together. This is inspired by their daughters about believing in yourself and music, totally in line with their wholesome brand. And I am sure they will do some rounds on the talk shows as well. A Blue Kind of Day. So Rachel Tomlinson, the author of this book, she is a psychologist, and this is all about a boy who's having a bad day and his family helping him and helping him make his feelings more clear. I love this and I love the illustrations. It's especially important because boys have a harder time expressing sadness or they are pushed not to. And it's especially heightened for boys of color around the world. It can go right on the shelf besides The Boy with Big, Big Feelings and The Rabbit Listened. Chatterbox. Oh my goodness. Well, this one's the award for book that made me tear up. The illustrations are just gorgeous and it's very gentle, even though it deals with a difficult topic. It's about a little girl who she and her grandfather like to collect treasures on their walks together. And unfortunately, he gets sick and he passes away. And it's too sad for her to open the box for a while. But eventually, one day she does and realizes that the things they did together still bring her happiness. And you know what? Grandma comes for a visit and they start renewing the transition. Oh, it is just beautiful and an honest portrayal of grief in a very kid-friendly way. I think this is something you absolutely need in your store, and you can sell it along with a little pack of tissues if you want. Out of a Jar. So this is a follow-up to the best-selling picture book In a Jar, which deals with a little bunny dealing with some very big feelings. So in our first book, we saw Lewin, our star rabbit there, putting his feelings that bother him in a jar so they don't bother him anymore. But in this book, he realizes that he needs to let them out because when he put all those things away, he also put away joy and happiness. He learns to face his feelings, and all of the feelings are very cute and anthropomorphized and have their own color and personalities. The first one made all sorts of rewards lists, and this is another one to put next to the Rabbit Listened. And if you like My Heart and Be Kind, you'll like this as well. We always need more books about socio-emotional learning. All right, The Legend of Iron Pearl. This is all for all of your knitting customers. They will love this. It's a super fun take on a superhero, and it stars Grandma Pearl, who is a mole who can spin a yarn and also literally spins yarn all over her little world. She's like the Stregonona of yarn. It's very fun, lots of colors, and your adult readers will enjoy seeing all the different things that can be made with yarns. There's lots of details to pour over. Okay, so this is a super, super, super lead. It's from the author of Go the F to Sleep and a healthy eating advocate, Camila Alves McConaughey, but we also have Mike Bolt illustrating. Mike Bolt is a fabulous Canadian illustrator who did one of my favorite picture books of the past few years, Bad Dog, about a dog that was a cat. And this reverses a common dinner time fight where the kids are just trying to get their parents to eat some vegetables, but they will not try anything. And they do everything from putting Brussels sprouts in their cuffs to dumping the peas at the window. It's very fun and silly and full of rhyming text. Kids will love seeing the roles reversed. Okay, the next one. This book is not for you. This is a lovely story about how sometimes we do things that we might not realize affect children that much. And we have a little boy and girl who are going to their bookmobile to get their books. And the little boy chooses a book by an author he likes. And the man who's volunteering there says, "Oh, no, this book isn't for you. This book is for girls," and gives him a different book. And then we have a little girl who goes in, chooses her favorite book about airplanes. And the man says, "No, this book is not for you. Here's a book for girls." And the two friends are reading together and they realize that, hey, they would rather read the book that each other is reading and they swap. It's all about the pleasure of a good book and about how it's really silly to say that certain things are for girls and boys, and books, no matter what they're about, are for everybody. Wild for Winnie. This is a really special book, one that I would especially let your teachers and librarians know about. It's about a new student named Winnie who has a sensory processing disorder and is on the spectrum, but her teacher knows just what to do to make her feel welcome. And she walks the class through a couple different sensory exercises they can do to either make Winnie feel better or to better understand what Winnie might be feeling. There's lots of movements. There's way for kids to bond and help. It's a really great way to get neurotypical kids to understand what some of their classmates might be going through. And at the end, the spread shows the teacher's approaches and the different exercises and why they're supposed to work. Part of the reason I really like this one is Winnie is a girl, and most books about autism feature boys. And actually, autism is extremely underdiagnosed in girls as well. So this is an important one. Wild for Cities. Oh, I love this. One of my favorite things to look for in nature documentaries is urban nature and urban animals and habitats. And this is just wonderfully illustrated. It is from Penguin UK, and we get to see all of the ways that animals live in cities. And you know, it's everywhere from London to Berlin to Calgary is the Canadian city. We have Tokyo, Mumbai, Singapore, Seoul. It's a whirlwind tour of a whole bunch of cosmopolitan centers with different animals. In UIC, this is a truly beautiful watercolor illustrated nature book. It's poetry, gorgeous illustrations, and it encourages kids to look a little closer at what might be around them in the natural world. A Beach Tale, Floyd Cooper, the illustrator, who sadly passed away recently. I love this book. I love his illustrations. It's about a little boy who is drawing a tiger's tail on the beach, and he follows it for too long and ends up separated from his dad. And this is now in paperback. It was previously in hardcover. Lu Jian Dreams of Sunflowers had some of my favorite illustrations for spring 2022. It's the wonderful story of future activist Lu Jian, who was the woman who campaigned for women's right to drive in the United Arab Emirates, but it's full of imagination and the colors are just gorgeous. So yes, they compare it to Malala's Magic Pencil, and I think that's the perfect comparison. Then we have the sea otter. I mean, I just have to include this because sea otters are just the best animals ever, and kids can't get enough of them. They have their own special rocks they carry around as toys. They hold hands while they fall asleep so they won't become separated. Who wouldn't want to learn a little bit more about the sea otter? Then Luli and the Language of Tea. I love this, and I think it's great for anyone who's learning a second language. It's about Luli, who moves from China, and she is in an ESL classroom, English second language, and none of the kids can speak English, and they can't really communicate and play together until Luli brings her favorite plaything from home, which is her tea set, and makes tea for her classmates. And then they discover that they actually all have tea where they come from, and they all know what it is. And then they learn their favorite English word, cookie. It's a really sweet story. A Quieter Story. This is a great bedtime story. You know, you don't want to get kids riled up too much before you leave them for the night. So it's about a little kitten that is insisting that her girl write her a rollicking adventure story suitable for the feline that she is, but keeps getting scared throughout and requests maybe a quieter story until we get to the perfect bedtime story and rhythm. The Planet in a Pickle Jar. This also was some of my favorite illustrations for spring 2022. This is from Flying Eye, and they just always design the most beautiful kids' books. I love it. We have these two grandkids who are listening to their grandmother talk, and they're saying that she has the most boring life ever. If you take a peek at some of your spreads in your catalogs, you'll see that she literally has galaxies in her closet and is the most fascinating woman ever. And finally, the kids listen to her, and there's an important message there about preserving the world around you and maybe paying attention. This would be a great one for Earth Day, but honestly, I don't think it's holiday specific. You can have it out whenever you'd like. And then our lovely Flying Eye nonfiction, The Great Barrier Reef. This is one of those gorgeous, oversized, illustrated books all about the Great Barrier Reef. And we have an oceanographer, Dr. Helen Scales, as the author. So, you know, there's some real science behind it. Okay, I'm going to move into the early readers and who is. So I have early chapter books in here, as well as our Who Is series, which remains one of our most popular nonfiction series for young readers. It is for middle grade, ages 8 to 12. So a little higher levels than your typical readers. We start with Chloe Kim, who is an Olympic gold medalist snowboarder. And then we have What Are Castles and Knights. This one has some photo layouts inside. Who was Ernest Hemingway. And then we have the lovely Charles Schulz. And then we have Juneteenth, which is a celebration that's becoming more and more popular. It started in the US, but it definitely is talked about in Canada as well and is important to know. It's the anniversary of when the last slaves found out they were finally emancipated. Then we have Who Was the Greatest? So this is a Who HQ graphic novel. This is something that they just started, I do believe, 2 spans ago. So that would have been summer 2021. And we have Muhammad Ali here. They really are wonderful. Each one of them has a different art style. Okay, and then we have some of our more traditional readers. Mo is a character who previously was with the UK, and now we have him in Penguin US instead. So this is level 3. And level 3 again, volleyball. He's a very athletic kid. All right, moving on to middle grade. I was so excited to see this, Packing for Mars for Kids by Mary Roach. So Mary Roach's new book, Buzz, which is all about animal and human encounters with the law, is out now and racking up awards and is a bestseller. She's just an incredible nonfiction writer. This is her book for kids about all the questions kids ask about space. So we can see a toilet and underwear on there, as well as some dehydrated beef. So you can guess the kind of questions that they're asking, and she answers all of them. There's over 24 photos as well inside. This is for ages 9 to 12. And Roach really doesn't shy away from any of the nasty details that might make us squirm. Her books have sold over 2 million copies in all different formats. I'm really happy that she's writing for a juvenile audience now as well. Okay, The Last Kids on Earth, Quint and Dirk's Hero Quest. This is our #2 best-selling middle grade series. It really is incredible, and it's been picked up by Netflix, which certainly hasn't hurt. It's kind of The Walking Dead for kids, survival story. And if this isn't a series that you have brought in yet, please do. The backlist since the movie has, since the TV series came out, has gone up 42%. And there's 6 more books coming. And yeah, they're just doing so well. I'd recommend bringing in the backlist if it isn't a series you've considered yet, but hopefully this is something that you all have in stock. Now we have Zia. This will definitely be a favorite amongst your librarians and teachers. Zia is a character who is struggling with anxiety and depression, and she finds a dictionary where she's able to erase the words of everything that's troubling her, which of course causes problems. I mean, as much as I'd like to erase spiders, I know that the general ecology of the world wouldn't thank me for it. It's an absolute must read. Our librarian readers have loved it already. Then we have Omar Rising. Aisha Saeed is a name I always like to see on our list. She is the author of Amal Unbound, which sold especially well in indies. This is another preteen character that's going to inspire kids. Omar is a young man who is living in, oh my goodness, I do believe he's in Pakistan. I apologize if I'm wrong about that. That's what I have in my notes. But he gets into a scholarship school. Yes, he is in Pakistan. He gets into a scholarship school, very fancy. He's very excited until he realizes that scholarship students are treated as second class. And he teams up with other scholarship kids and kids who think like him and a very inspiring teacher, and they begin to make protest art. It's so good, and it's about kids standing up to an unjust rigged system. Very inspiring and perfect for 12-year-olds. We have Temple Grandin with some nonfiction. This is The Outdoor Scientist, and there are 40 kid-friendly projects that you're able to do in your local park or in your backyard that makes you really think about the world around you. And there's activities for all seasons. I mean, I know our spring starts later than most people's spring, but there are plenty of winter things to do in here as well. Planet Omar, this is the first book in a new series now in paperback. So I wanted to show you this because if you don't have the hardcover in, you should absolutely bring it in. It's doing so well. He's a middle grade Muslim boy who has a huge imagination, and his doodles both get him in and out of trouble. So bring that hardcover for the holidays if you don't have it yet. I'm bringing the paperback for the spring. The Lock Eater. This is a brand new middle grade series taking place in a magic world where we have a young queer girl who is able to unlock anything using her magic powers, which of course makes not so innocent parties interested in what she can do for them. There's a battle between old and new magic. We have an orphanage full of hilarious and surprising characters, and adventure and far off lands. They compare it to Nevermore and Howl's Moving Castle, which is spot on. Then we have Pride. This is a history of the LGBTQ plus movement. I know this is coming out before Pride is usually happening in Quebec, but it's a wonderful resource to have on hand, even if it's a little ahead of time. You look at important figures, starting with Harvey Milk, and it explains where Pride started with Stonewall and the Stonewall riots. Courage. This is a truly fabulous new collection for middle grade. There are several different books now in nonfiction, curated and edited by Dave Eggers. And this is the story of a young girl who is persecuted by the Taliban and becomes a community activist. Okay, I mean, I put this middle grade, but really Mad Libs are for everyone, right? They're actually a wonderful tool in learning parts of speech, especially for ESL students. I'm sure you're familiar with Mad Libs by now. So we have animals, and then we have sports. Go team. Moving on to YA. Oh, I'm sure some of you are excited to see this. And it is the next book by Nnedi Okorafor, sorry about that, who's been doing spectacularly well with this Akata series. So we had Akata Witch and then Akata Warrior, and this is the conclusion to the trilogy Akata Woman. It's amazing Afro fantasy futurism. There's magic. In the first two books, we kind of get to see a girl who's getting her powers and learning how to use them. And this shows where Learning and Trainer has brought her to. There's a lot of coming of age moments in this as well. It has actually been optioned for a television show, which is fabulous. You have to bring in the two backlist titles as well to sort this one. Displays are available, and it's included in our Black History Month promo. Bone and Spindle. This is a very fun take on fairy tales. There's a lot of gender swapping. There's a lot of magic. We have reimagined characters. The Sleeping Prince is Briar Rose, and we have the Woodsman and Aurora, so Sleeping Beauty, going to rescue him. It's the start of a duology, so this is book one. It's full of romantic fantasies. If you did well with House of Salt and Sorrows, you'll do really well with this. And there's lots of strong action heroes in this one, which is wonderful. Okay, All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. I'm always excited to see Sabaa's name. And she is the best-selling author of the Ember in the Ashes series. This book is closer to real life. There are no magical elements in it. It has absolute crossover potential for adult readers as well. We can see that Jodi Picoult has written a blurb already. There are multiple settings and timelines in this one. We're following Pakistani characters and an arranged marriage, and then we jump ahead in time to California, where the family from the first timeline is now running a family hotel. It's really beautiful and gritty and true to life. And Sabaa is just a fabulous author. There's displays available for this as well. Hotel Magnifique, another book with crossover potential for your adult readers who love YA. It's set against the backdrop of the Belle Epoque. Beautiful, lush setting. It's a hotel full of magic and glamour where every day a magician moves the hotel to another location around the world. If you have people who love Night Circus, they'll love this. And our main story is about a young woman who falls in love with a dashing magician who is moving the hotel. Flirting with Fate. I love Jane the Virgin meets the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I'm going to explain the plot a bit on this one because I have to. It's just so fun. So we're following a young girl who her family, every generation when a female dies, she gives her blessing to a member of the next generation. And unfortunately, our main character, her grandmother is passing away and she missed getting her blessing, which just ends up with some random guy on the street. So she has to go and find this random guy and try to recover her grandmother's blessing for him. And of course, you can maybe tell from the side eyes on the cover, they end up falling in love as well. Ruta Septis, I mean, this is truly a blockbuster spring list. She is the best of the best at historical fiction for young readers. And this is a story of a spy in communist Romania under Ceausescu. And he is blackmailed by the communist government to become an informer. And instead of just becoming an informer, he uses it to undermine the dictator. She is amazing. Bringing her backlist as well. Echoes and Empires from Morgan Rhodes. Fantasy has worked throughout the pandemic and it continues to work. And Morgan is the best-selling author of the Fallen Kingdom series. This is the start of a new duology. It's book one. It's fantasy and romance. Basically, it takes place in a world where if you use magic, you are put to death. So in addition to other Morgan Rhodes fans, if you have people who love Sarah J. Maas and the Red Queen series, they will love this new series as well. Then Melissa de la Cruz. So this is a Cinderella retelling that takes place in 17th century Versailles. We have the mean stepmother, we have the whole bit. So Cinderella sneaks into the ball to meet the prince, but ends up liking his brother better. So this is for fans of Cinder and Ash Princess and also Bridgerton, because we have quite a bit of period drama in there as well. Yes, and I do believe there are other fairy story retellings. Oh my goodness. This is the last presentation I'm recording, full disclosure, so my mouth has just stopped working. So we have another one down the line, and you know Melissa de la Cruz has a track record with The Queen's Assassin and all her other books. Hey, Kiss and Tell, another one I'm super excited for, Adib Khorram. So he is the author of the Darius is Great duology. Darius is just fabulous, fabulous middle grade. This is YA. So we have a young Canadian boy band star who goes through a terrible breakup where his ex releases compromising photos of him. So his good boy image is smashed, and now his publicist is urging him to engage in this squeaky clean romance. But of course, he doesn't want to. It deals a lot with what being queer in the public eye means. It's treated with a lot of sensitivity, but also we have all the boy band fun. There's lyrics included, which is wonderful. Now in paperback, last night at the Telegraph Club, it was longlisted for the National Book Award, and rightly so last year. It's all about two girls who fall in love in Chinatown during the 1950s. And then Crystal Maldonado. So she is the author of Fat Chance Charlie Vega, which is fabulous and a lot of must-read books for summer 2021 when it came out, and it lived up to all the hype. This is her next title, No Filter and Other Lives, which is just excellent, about a character who is making her way through university. She's 21 years old. She has wonderful followers. She has a perfect picture existence, but it's actually all fake. She is a 16-year-old quiet teenager who has manufactured this online personality. And of course, this novel finds her dealing with the consequences. Then we have Fat Chance Charlie Vega, now in paperback. I just love this one. If you missed it in hardcover, please give it a chance in paperback. It's a coming of age story and from a self-described fat brown girl about life is harder than you think. And really, it's about recognizing your own worth and how sometimes we're the last people to recognize how worthy we are of someone else's love. Okay, I just have a few little gift books here. These are the gorgeous cloth bound Penguin UK Puffing Classics, and they have embossed metallics on the front. They're really a gorgeous object as well as being fabulous books. So we have the Little Prince, and then in gold and burgundy here, Tales from Shakespeare. All right, graphic. I mean, if there's one category that keeps growing, it's graphic. I actually only have one from Penguin Kids this time through. If you want to see a whole lot more, check out my Random House Children's presentation where I talk more about graphic novels. But this is a lovely series about one reading level above Elephant and Piggy, about two friends called Archie and Reddy. This time, they're just showing off to each other. And then holiday. So I have a few Eastern spring themed books, not a ton, but they're perfect for your seasonal table. We have a Little Mister book, Mr. Impossible Easter egg hunt. And then we have a lovely Passover 8x8, and this one has stickers. And then I have two Eric Carle board books. They are doing, honestly, these don't have to be holiday, but I thought they were especially seasonal and appropriate. Looking at different life cycles, first we do, of course, the caterpillar. And then we have an egg hatching. All right, DK Kids. I mean, I can't possibly do justice to DK Kids in the short time we have here, but I wanted to go through some of what they have on offer. And starting with a picture book, this is about protecting the environment, specifically through forests and introducing kids to the issue of deforestation. And then we have these wonderful activity books. They are write-ins and they have stickers. So if you don't do that, just be forewarned, where you have kids learning through drawing and doing quizzes and creating and using stickers, of course, throughout. So we have dinosaurs, and then we have the human body. Okay, now this is in paperback, has previously been available in paper overboard hardcover, and it is all about fossils. Who doesn't want to learn more about prehistoric life and dinosaurs? We all used to know so much about dinosaurs when we were kids, and I don't know about you, but that knowledge has just gone right out the window with me. Then we have this Back to Life history books. The series is fabulous. It's what I remember from when I was a kid, about showing what important locations or landmarks now look like when they were first made. Then we have History, a Visual Encyclopedia. This is DK and the Smithsonian. It is in paperback and a lovely general history book. And then we have the Eyewitness series. I know you know Eyewitness. I know you love Eyewitness. And this is all about cats. This is a new edition, updated. And we have an updated version of volcanoes and earthquakes, and an updated version on weather. All right, and then we also have our DK Lego books are so wonderful. I know they're always my nephew's favorite Christmas gift for sure. And this is all about the Lego world and our own world. So structures built out of Legos and their real world counterpart, for example. And then we have another Lego DK collaboration. This one is all about Star Wars and Star Wars vehicles, of course, built in Lego. Okay, so that is it for me for spring 2022, Penguin Kids. Hope you had a good time hearing about some of the highlights we have to offer. If you have any trouble at all placing your order, or you want to place it through me, or there are more books that you want to see and talk about, don't hesitate to reach out, give me a call or an email, and thank you so much.